Good morning, everyone. The 193rd hooding ceremony of the University of Cincinnati Donald P. Klekamp College of Law will now commence. If you are able, please rise as the platform party and candidates enter the arena, led by the Student Bar Association President Maya Hoffman, who carries the College of Law academic flag, followed by this year's Faculty Marshal, Dean Emeritus, and the Wilbert and Helen Ziegler Professor of Law, Joseph P. Tomaine, with the University Mace.
Please be seated. Distinguished guests, members of the faculty and administration, Donald P. Klekamp College of Law students and graduates, family and friends, welcome to the 2026 hooding ceremony of the 193rd graduating class of the University of Cincinnati Donald P. Klekamp College of Law. My name is Haider Al-Hamoudi, and I am the dean. I have the distinct honor and privilege of serving as the dean of the college. Before I address the class, I would like to introduce the members of the platform party. I'd ask each of them to stand as their names are called, and ask that you please hold your recognition until all have been introduced. To my right, which is to your left, Dr. Rudolph Buckheit, who is the incoming Executive Vice President and Provost of the University of Cincinnati. Annabelle Fisher, the member of the class of 2026 and chair of the Student Legal Education Committee. Brandon Craig, member of the class of 2009 and president of the Law Alumni Association Board of Directors. This year's distinguished speaker, Al Gerhardstein. Joseph P. Tomaine, the Dean Emeritus, and Wilbert and Helen Ziegler Professor of Law, and this year's Faculty Marshal. Dean Tomaine celebrates 50 years of teaching this year. Maya Huffman to my left and to your right, class of 2026 and president of the Student Bar Association. Diane Margolis, Associate Dean of Academic Success and Bar Programs and Assistant Professor of Practice and this year's Faculty Hooder. Ryan Thoresen, Associate Professor of Law and this year's Assistant Faculty Hooder. Betsy Lenhart, Professor of Practice and this year's Faculty Reader. Please join me in recognizing these distinguished participants in today's ceremony. Now I'd like to introduce you to the people who have guided you during your time at the College of Law, both in and outside of the classroom. I ask them to stand as their names are called, and I'll ask you to please hold your applause until all have been introduced. Timothy K. Armstrong, Associate Dean of Faculty Research and Professor of Law. Lynn Bai, Professor of Law. Cassandra Jeter Bailey, Senior Assistant Dean for Admissions, Financial Aid, and Strategic Communication and Marketing. Kimberly Bailey, Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Professor of Law. Jennifer Bergeron, Professor of Practice. Christy Blewett, Associate Professor of Clinical Law and Director of the Domestic Violence and Civil Protection Order Clinic. A. Christopher Bryant, the Rufus King Professor of Constitutional Law. Heather Crabb, Assistant Dean of the Center for Professional Development. Dr. Jennifer Dye, Chief Strategy and Engagement Officer and the Theodore M. Barry Director of the Nathaniel R. Jones Center for Race, Gender, and Social Justice. Brian Howe, Professor of Clinical Law. Kate Jackson, Associate Professor of Law. Kristen Cowsam, the Charles Hartsock Professor of Law. Bert Lockwood, Distinguished Service Professor of Law and Director of the Urban Morgan Institute for Human Rights. Ann LaFaso, Professor of Law. S. Elizabeth Malloy, the Andrew Katsanis Professor of Law. Andrew Mamo, Associate Professor of Law. Sean Mangan, Professor of Practice and Director of the Entrepreneurship and Community Development Clinic. Michael Salamini, the Donald P. Klekamp Professor of Law. Rachel J. Smith, Professor of Practice. Susan Steffen, Director of the Master of Legal Studies Program. Nora Burke Wagner, Assistant Dean for International and Graduate Programs and Director of the LLM Program. Michael Whiteman, the Associate Dean of Library Services, Professor of Practice, and the Director of the Robert S. Marks Law Library. And of course, Rudy Trejo, Assistant Dean for Student Affairs and Community Engagement. I also want to thank the volunteers who helped with today's programming: Pierce Reed, Rachel Smith, Madison Jones, Kate Salander, Andrea Starr, and Diane Margolis, and co-producer of the event, Kinsey Kovar, in the Office of Student Affairs. Please join me. Well, first, did I miss anybody? I usually do. All right, third time's the charm. There you go. Please join me in expressing appreciation to the College of Law's dynamic full-time faculty, adjunct faculty, and staff who have been a part of your law school journey. So this is my last opportunity to address all of you as your dean, and I want to try to use it in a way that I hope you're going to all remember me in a way that is honest and personal. I want to tell you about two moments in my own journey that got me here, and something I've noticed from both of them that I hope you might be able to take from something useful to take home. The first happened many years before I arrived here. I was at a routine physical, and my doctor told me quite plainly that if I wanted to be alive when my children graduated high school, I was going to have to make some changes. I was morbidly obese, I was in very poor shape, I had a hard time climbing one flight of stairs, and I was a faculty member, but in a minor administrative role, and I aspired to more academic leadership. Walked out of that office, and I made two commitments to myself. I was going to be a law school dean, and I was going to run the Boston Marathon. My parents taught me anything, it was to dream no small dreams. As you all know, I did become a marathoner before I joined, and on Patriots Day in April of 2023, both of those things happened to have happened on the same day. Around mile 21, I received a call from the Provost of the University of Cincinnati. I did not take the call. But don't worry, I finished the race, and I received the offer to be your dean, and it's been an honor and privilege. It was one of the great days of my life. When I came here in my initial 5 years, I thought I should set another couple of set of goals. And the first, discussed with our philanthropy team before I joined, was to secure a transformational gift for this college, which of course just happened. The Donald P. Klekamp College of Law will serve generations of students through expanded scholarships, deepening experiential learning, and giving our students the resources to compete with anyone in the country. And as you all know from my LinkedIn posts, I started to run all of the Abbott Big Six marathons, and they went down one by one: Chicago, New York, Berlin, London, and one was left, which was Tokyo. And if this were a fairy tale, then it would have all happened in 3 years. But life isn't a fairy tale, and sometimes retinal tears happen. As you all know, on a 20-mile run in March, my last long run before the Tokyo taper, around mile 19, lost vision in about half of my right eye. A blanket came down and I couldn't shake it clear. I ran the last mile in a daze, drove myself to the emergency room, and was diagnosed with a retinal tear. It required emergency surgery with a week of complete rest, a week of virtual work, and several weeks without running or flying. So I had to cancel the Tokyo Marathon. I shared all of that. I was disappeared for a while, so I had to explain something, and you all sent very kind messages, and I was really, really grateful for all of the support I received from my colleagues on the faculty, from the staff, and of course from all of you as students. What I noticed about that moment, and the disappointing moment, and the great moment 3 years earlier, almost exactly 3 years earlier, is how terribly similar they were to one another. And that really isn't just me. I don't know how many of you watched the Olympics, but you may have seen Michaela Schifrin after she won the gold this year in Milan. If you looked at her pose, she crossed the finish line and crouched down and put her head in her hands and just sat very, very still. And that posture was very, very recognizable to anybody who's an Olympics nerd like I am, because it was the exact same posture she had had 4 years earlier in Beijing when she was disqualified from the slalom. It was triumph and devastation, Mr. Flagg. It was triumph and devastation, and her body did exactly the same thing both times. That image has always stayed with me because she showed, and I learned, that the patterns of our best days and our worst days are actually a lot more similar than we usually admit. First, it's really, really important to take the moment. If that's putting your head in your hands and crouching down or doing whatever it is that you need to do, make sure you take the moment to do it for yourself. Today is a day of real earned triumph. I hope you feel it fully. You should think about the road that brought you here. Not everyone gets to college. Not everyone makes it through law school. And those who start, not everyone finishes. You've cleared every single one of those hurdles, and you're here, a degree in hand, ready for the bar, and then ready for whatever comes next. Savor that, and I hope you do celebrate tonight. Don't overdrink wellness, but do celebrate, I mean it. And then when the hard days come, and they will, allow yourself to feel that too. Sometimes people who really mean well and really mean the best for you come to you and they'll tell you, well, look, don't worry about it, others have it worse, or you're going to bounce back. And both of those are true, because you'd have to be a narcissist of the highest order to think that missing a Tokyo Marathon ranked among the greatest human tragedies of the hour that it occurred. Countless children lost their parents that very hour, orders of magnitude worse than anything that I suffered. But if you focus on that and you dwell on that, that doesn't make your sadness go away. All it does is add guilt to your own sadness. You're allowed to be sad. You can be sad for what you've lost and grateful for everything that you have at exactly the same time. You can hold both of those ideas in your heart and in your head. The second thing that's really similar about moments of great triumph and moments of great disappointment, both of them pass. The best days pass and the worst days pass. You should be present during the good ones, and you really have to hold on during the hard ones. Anybody who saw the Mean Girls musical, that famous quote, right? The world doesn't end, you just think that it does. Life goes on, and you're going to have many more days of triumph and many more days of setback. And the third, and this is the one that I find the most personally valuable, resilience isn't only for setback. Because sometimes it's really important to be resilient when things are going well. Sometimes when you're successful, that's when you let your guard down. Every step you took to get here, from high school to college to this stage, required you to ask, what's next? Don't stop now. The moment you stop asking is the moment that your best work is behind you. Always keep asking, what's next? As proud graduates of the university, where next lives. And that brings me back to Tokyo. The way the calendar works now, that race falls in the middle of Ramadan, and I don't intend to run a marathon while I'm on a fast. So the timeline has shifted for me. I can't do it during my initial term as dean anymore. It's not going to be within the 5-year timeline. But I always remember the words of Marcus Aurelius, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way has to become the way. And so I can't get to Tokyo, but what I can do is run a marathon in every state in the country, or at least as many states as I can manage, scheduling races around the fasting calendar until the window opens again. The obstacle can't end your goal. It has to give you a different one. And you'll face many obstacles that are going to redirect you. Some will look like failures for a long time before they reveal themselves as something else. And when that happens, take the moment, remember that it's going to pass, and then ask what's next. Keep going, even when the path changes, and it's eventually going to lead somewhere glorious for every single one of you. Congratulations again to the class of 2026. Again, go celebrate, and then don't forget to get back to work. Thank you. So on this special day, we're especially honored to have Dr. Rudolph Buchheit, the incoming Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs, and the Provost join us. Dr. Rudy Buchheit was selected as the University of Cincinnati's next Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost, effective June 1st. As Provost, Dr. Buchheit will serve as UC's Chief Academic Officer, overseeing our colleges and academic operations while helping to advance our strategic priorities in teaching, research, and student success. You might have heard that, overseeing our colleges, which means he's going to be my new boss, so everybody behave. Right? Dr. Buchheit comes to UC from the University of Kentucky, where he has served as Dean of the College of Engineering since 2018. In that role, he has led a comprehensive academic and administrative portfolio that includes faculty affairs, academic programs, research and graduate education, budget and facilities, as well as advancement and external partnerships. Prior to joining the University of Kentucky, Dr. Buchheit served as Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Administration in the College of Engineering at The Ohio State University, and earlier as Chair of the Department of Materials Science and Engineering. He's an internationally recognized scholar in corrosion metallurgy and electrochemistry with a distinguished record of research, publication, and professional service. Dr. Buchheit has done a lot of expert testimony, so many of you may have the privilege of cross-examining him in the future. He earned his bachelor's degree in engineering science at Loyola University, Maryland. He has a master's degree and a doctoral degree in materials science from the University of Virginia. He brings a thoughtful, collaborative leadership style and a deep understanding of the opportunities and responsibilities of an R1 public research university. Served throughout his career in R1 public research universities. His experience strengthens academic program. Strengthening academic programs, supporting faculty success, and expanding research and external partnerships will help UC continue to build momentum as a leading public urban university. I did want to emphasize one thing. I just said a second ago that Dr. Buckheit does not actually start as provost here until June 1st. He's still at the University of Kentucky. That he chose to make the trip from Lexington to attend this graduation when President Pinto had a conflict that made it unable for President Pinto to come and our interim provost to come is a testament to how seriously he's taking his new role and how much he values our college. So I hope you keep that in mind, and please join me in welcoming Dr. Rudolph Buckheit to the stage.
Graduates, good morning and congratulations. Family, friends, relatives, partners, congratulations to you. I want to thank you for the support that you've provided to this group, the love and understanding that was needed to get them to this point. Today is your celebration as well. I would also like to congratulate the faculty and staff and administrators from the college. Thank you for the advice and counsel that you've provided to this group as they graduate. On behalf of President Pinto and the Board of Trustees and the entire University of Cincinnati community, it is my great honor to celebrate with you at this milestone moment. It's also a personal privilege to stand before you today, especially as I prepare to step into the role of provost. Being here with you at a moment that marks both a culmination for you and a beginning for me is truly meaningful. Today we gather to celebrate achievement and the future possibilities it enables. The hooding ceremony is not just an ending. It is a moment to pause, reflect, and recognize all that has brought you to this stage, your journey, your sacrifices, and the legacy of the institution you now carry forward. It is also a moment to reflect on what your work has prepared you to do next. The University of Cincinnati Klekamp College of Law has long distinguished itself as a place where excellence and access meet. It offers intense and comprehensive preparation for the legal professions in the heart of a vibrant urban environment. And it fosters a close-knit, supportive community where students are known, challenged, and encouraged to grow. Here you have benefited from an educational experience shaped for you and by you, strengthened by the resources and impact of a leading research university. That combination is rare and it is powerful. The roots of this college run deep. Founded in 1833, it was the first law school west of the Allegheny Mountains. What began in Timothy Walker's office has evolved into a modern, nationally respected institution, a cornerstone of the University of Cincinnati. Generations of students, faculty, staff, alumni, and supporters have shaped this college into what it is today. That shared history also helped secure transformative investments. Most notably, the largest gift in the college's history, a $43.2 million gift ensuring that the Donald P. Klekamp College of Law will continue its mission as a dynamic community dedicated to educating and inspiring leaders to pursue justice and advance the rule of law in society. This mission aligns seamlessly with the broader purpose of the University of Cincinnati. UC leads not only in our region, but across the nation and the globe. It is the birthplace of cooperative education, a model rooted in the belief that learning is strongest when paired with real-world, practical, and impactful experience. You are living proof of that philosophy. Many of you have completed internships and externships, and many of you will now step directly into careers shaped by those experiences. You leave here not only with knowledge, but with practice, perspective, and purpose. There is a phrase we sometimes hear, the world doesn't need more lawyers. I would suggest the opposite has never been more true. The world needs more advocates, more principled leaders, more individuals committed to justice, fairness, and opportunity. The world needs people who will uphold the rule of law with integrity, who will navigate complexity with wisdom, and who will lead with courage. And that is exactly who you are prepared to be. To our graduating 3L class today, we celebrate your resilience, your perseverance, and your adaptability. You've navigated challenges, supported one another, and built community that reflects the very best of this college. I understand this class started alongside Dean Hammoudi. All of you have shaped and been shaped by that extraordinary experience. You now embark on diverse and impactful paths in business and industry, government, public interest, law firms, and judicial clerkships. You carry with you not only your degrees, but the reputation of an institution ranked among the top public law schools for public service and practical training. It is one of the oldest law schools in the country. Your legacy will be one of innovation, collaboration, and global engagement. To our LLM graduates, you have joined us from across the world, Colombia, Italy, North Macedonia, Brazil, France, Nepal, Haiti, Venezuela, Ecuador, Ukraine. You have enriched this community in countless ways. You leave here with expanded perspectives, new skills, and strengthened professional paths. You are now, and always will be, Bearcats. To our MLS graduates, you represent the spirit of lifelong learning. As working professionals, you have deepened your understanding of the law in ways that will elevate your work, strengthen your decision-making, and broaden your impact. Your commitment to growth is inspiring. As you all embark on this next chapter, I leave you with the words of one of our most distinguished leaders, William Howard Taft, son of Cincinnati, 27th President of the United States, 10th Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, and a former dean of this college. His words were, "We must dare to be great, and we must realize that greatness is the fruit of toil and sacrifice and high courage." To be great requires hard work. It demands sacrifice. It calls for courage, the courage to stand for what is right, even when it is difficult. It calls for us to strive for excellence, even when the path is uncertain. Graduates, you have already demonstrated these qualities. Now you are called to carry them into the world. So, I charge you, dare to be great, dare to lead, dare to make the difference that matters. Congratulations, class of 2026. We are immensely proud of you, and we cannot wait to see the impact you will make. Go Bearcats.
Thank you, Dr. Buckheit, for your excellent remarks, and we look forward to your leadership as well. It is now my pleasure to welcome to the podium a member of the graduating class of 2026, a student leader, a true advocate for her peers, and the Student Bar Association President, Maya Huffman.
Class of 2026, faculty, staff, family, and friends. Let me once again welcome you to the 193rd hooding ceremony of the University of Cincinnati College of Law. My name is Maya Huffman, and I was the president of the Student Bar Association for the 2025-2026 school year. When I found out I got to speak at the hooding ceremony, I was excited for many reasons. First, I was excited that my Elwood's dream would finally come full circle, as she too spoke at her law school hooding ceremony. All jokes aside, I was the most excited to reflect on for the opportunity to stand before you all and reflect on the most challenging but most rewarding 3 years of my life. One of my top priorities when choosing a law school was finding a place that felt just right. In the summer between my junior and senior year of college, my mom and I trekked across Ohio touring many different law schools. I remember fondly my visit at UC Law. Although it was the old building on the other side of campus that was rumored to have roaches in the basement, and I'm sure some of our faculty and alumni can neither confirm nor deny that rumor, I knew that after my brief visit at UC Law that this was where I wanted to be. And it wasn't just because I was told they were moving to a fancy new building, and I didn't actually meet any students on this visit, but I could tell by the way that Dean Jeter Bailey spoke about the college that this was where I needed to be. Fast forward to August 2023. At the beginning of the month, I took a leap of faith and moved to a city I'd been to a handful of times before. Although I'm from Toledo, it's a straight shot up I-75 from here, I had somehow really never been to the Queen City. The only person I knew was my roommate, and despite this, I never once questioned my decision. Especially after the first day of orientation, where I was instantly reminded why I chose UC Law. Dressed to the nines in our courtroom best, I was greeted with the friendly faces of all of my classmates who sit before me today. Becoming part of this community has been a distinct privilege that I do not take for granted. I've met the most extraordinary individuals with the most fascinating stories, and I've met the most genuine and down-to-earth people. Folks who will be the first to celebrate your achievements and also the first to give you a helping hand in a time of need. Faculty, staff, and students alike, the community I have found and made for myself here is one of a kind. As I mentioned earlier, law school was without a doubt the most challenged I've been in my entire life. As a first-generation law student, I had to overcome many challenges. On top of learning what a tort was and that a contract requires offer, acceptance, and consideration, I was figuring out how to do law school. I was learning how to read and brief cases, figuring out how to build the stamina to study for and take 4 final exams in 2 weeks that are worth the majority of your grade. I was also learning how to network and how to build my resume. In the midst of all of that, I was grappling with imposter syndrome, feeling like I wasn't smart enough or qualified enough to be in the rooms I had worked hard to get into. The most challenging part of my law school career, I've come to find out, is now having to leave the community I've had the pleasure of being part of at UC Law. I know deep down that I'm not truly leaving this community. I know that the connections I've made and the relationships I've built will follow me for the rest of my life. I know that by soon becoming an alumna of UC Law, I will be entering into an even larger community of UC Law grads, all of whom, I'm sure, take great pride in having graduated from such a great law school. However, the thought of no longer being a student is bittersweet. Although I will not miss sitting through classes and studying for exams, I'll miss seeing the friendly faces around every corner. I'll miss having the opportunity to get into the most random but enjoyable conversations with students, faculty, and staff members. I'll miss the SBA parties and tailgates and Barrister's Ball and all of the other small but significant events that have made UC Law feel like home over the past 3 years. Although I didn't realize it at the moment while I was debating what law school was the best fit for me, what I was really looking for was a place with a strong sense of community. If you think it takes a village to raise a child, as the saying goes, it truly takes a village to get through law school. The long days and nights, the difficult cold calls, the tears of frustration, and the celebrations, all of these things were made better by the community I found. To the faculty and staff present today, thank you for believing in all of us. Thank you for fostering an environment of respect and encouragement, and for your commitment to the future generation of lawyers. Your unwavering dedication to our success, both personally and professionally, has not gone unnoticed. Without you, UC Law would not be half the place it is today. To all the family and friends present today, thank you for supporting us all throughout our individual journeys. Thank you for your patience while we all navigated the demands of law school, and for your continued patience while we study for the bar. Sorry for the reminder, everyone. Rest assured that every single person in this graduating class is going to go off and make you all proud. And finally, to the class of 2026, it is my sincere hope that all of you continue to foster a community wherever you go, that you take all of the lessons you've learned over the past 3 years about the law itself, but also about resiliency, perseverance, and advocacy, and continue to make the world a better place. Now more than ever, the need for ethical and responsible lawyers is extremely important. While the past 3 years were both challenging and rewarding, our future careers will certainly present similar challenges and rewards. I'm excited to see all of the things you achieve, and just know I will be cheering you on from wherever I'm at. Congratulations, class of 2026. We did it.
Maya, thanks for those wonderful remarks. And I will say that community that Maya is talking about, of belonging and support and nurturing each other and supporting each other, is not something that is itself self-sustaining. It is built through student leaders like Maya's efforts. And I really do appreciate everything that you have done to create that community of building and understanding. When I watch you, and I've had the privilege, as the Provost has indicated, of seeing all of you grow from first years into third years, and I see leaders like you and the way in which you've blossomed, it makes me really proud to do what it is that I do. We've had our ups and we've had our downs as we're reminiscing. I still remember the 1L town hall where I had to explain that we were going to enforce the university's alcohol policy. That was super fun. But with the ups and downs, as I watch all of you and I see the kind of blossoming that I've seen in Maya and Bella and Annabelle and all of you, I'm really, really proud. I want to invite your attention in your hooding program to the distinguished awards and honors we recently celebrated at our Dean's Reception and Awards Ceremony. These recognitions reflect not only individual excellence, but the very spirit of dedication, scholarship, and service that defines our community. They represent the highest ideals we strive to uphold: intellectual rigor, meaningful impact, and a commitment to advancing the common good. Today, we pause to acknowledge those among us whose achievements have left a lasting remark on our institution and beyond. To those who were honored, students, faculty, and staff alike, you embody the standard of excellence to which we all aspire. If you are the recipient of an award or honor this year, I ask that you please stand and be recognized. And to our audience, I invite you to join me in offering a warm and enthusiastic round of applause in celebration of these extraordinary individuals. So now I'm going to welcome Brandon Craig. He's the class of 2009, and he is the president of the University of Cincinnati Donald P. Klekamp College of Law Alumni Board, to offer some remarks.
Alrighty. Good morning, class of 2026. On behalf of the University of Cincinnati Klekamp College of Law Alumni Association, congratulations, Legal Bearcats, and welcome to a lifelong association of support, encouragement, and collaboration. Today marks the culmination of years of hard work, sacrifice, and perseverance, but it is also the beginning of a lifelong connection to this extraordinary community. Graduation is never accomplished alone. Behind every graduate is a circle of family, friends, mentors, professors, and classmates who helped make this moment possible. Today is a celebration of them as well. As a second-generation UC Law alumnus, I know firsthand that this school becomes more than a place where you earn a degree. It becomes part of your story and part of your family. For many of you, that legacy begins today. As you begin your legal careers, my hope is that you never let go of the family you've built here at the Klekamp College of Law. The people beside you today share the long nights, the stress, the victories, and the moments that tested your resolve. Those bonds matter. Carry them with you, nurture them, and remain connected to one another throughout your careers. And as you move forward, remember to lend a hand to the generation that follows you. Take the call from a young attorney looking for advice. Encourage a law student searching for confidence and direction. Open doors when you can, because someone opened one for you. The strength of this profession and of this law school is built when each generation chooses to lift to the next. Congratulations, class of 2026, and welcome to the UC Klekamp College of Law Alumni Association.
Thank you, Brandon, for those words. And now it is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce a real leader in the civil rights community, Al Gerhardstein, a partner in the Ohio civil rights firm of Friedman, Gilbert, and Gerhardstein. For 50 years, he's litigated civil rights issues, including police misconduct, race, sex, sexual orientation, and disability discrimination, prisoner rights, voting rights, and reproductive health issues. Gerhardstein has led as lead counsel on numerous civil rights class actions, including one that reformed Ohio's juvenile prisons and another that resulted in Cincinnati's collaborative agreement, which has been repeatedly cited as a national model for police reform. He served as lead counsel for the family of Sam Dubose, which resulted in a settlement exceeding $5 million, an apology from President Santaono, and promoted extensive reforms following Sam's shooting by a university police officer. He was lead counsel in Obergefell v. Hodges. Many of you may remember that case. It's the Supreme Court case that established marriage equality for same-sex couples in all 50 states. His long struggle to secure LGBTQIA+ rights is chronicled in a book by Debbie Sensiber and Jim Obergefell, Love Wins, and in episode 5 of the Netflix series hosted by Will Smith, Amend, The Fight for America. Al is the founder of the Ohio Justice and Policy Center in Cincinnati, which pursues criminal justice reform and litigates human rights in prison. And in fact, we are partnering with the OJPC this coming year to start offering experiential opportunities to our students in these spaces. He earned his JD degree and was a Root Tilden Scholar at NYU. Mr. Gerhard Stein litigates causes causes and pursues reforms in all of his practice areas. He now lives in St. Paul, Minnesota, and continues some work in Cincinnati. It is with beaming pride that I introduce today's distinguished speaker, Mr. Alphonse A. Gerhard Stein.
So is everybody excited? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I show up at the funeral? I mean, I thought I was coming to a graduation. Are you excited? All right. So when you asked ChatGPT to pick a commencement speaker, you ended up with a hallucination. That's me. I really have no business up here at this podium. Why? I refused to take the LSAT. I refused to pay the admission charges and the application fee that law schools wanted. I applied to law schools with a letter that said, I'm not taking your test, I'm not paying your fee, and by the way, here's 2 pages of lecturing I'm going to give you about why you brainwash students and how you praise property rights over individual rights. Now, still suspicious, after 3 years of legal study, I skipped my law school graduation. So, it's fun to finally be here at a graduation and to wear all this fancy gear. But I just learned from the dean that I have to turn all this in after we're done. I mean, what's up with that? So, after what you've learned about me, I guess it won't come as a surprise to you that I've always kept lawyers at arm's length. On the one hand, lawyers wrote the Jim Crow laws. Lawyers wrote the 3 strikes criminal laws and the draconian drug laws that drive mass incarceration. Lawyers wrote the fine print on all those consumer contracts that waive rights and trigger huge interest charges. On the other hand, lawyers wrote the Reconstruction Amendments, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, the ADA, laws decriminalizing marijuana and reducing other drug penalties, and the Truth in Lending laws, and the Consumer Sales Practices Acts, which I used as a civil rights lawyer at Legal Aid to fight on behalf of consumers. So, the opposite poles that are reflected there also reflect what I call the lawyer say-do gap. That is, the gap between the ideals we say and embrace in our Constitution, like due process, free expression, equal protection, and what we actually do through the laws we draft and the arguments we pursue. The smaller the say-do gap means less income and racial inequality, greater free speech rights, and more fairness. My whole 50 years of practice has been an effort to narrow that say-do gap. Early in my career, I took on a paternity case. I thought it would help pay the bills. But the defendant was a well-known, well-connected politician. When I wrote to him threatening to sue if he didn't pay child support for my client, I got a call from 2 high-profile, leading law firm lawyers from here in Cincinnati. They literally called me a a criminal. They said I was defaming this person. They tried to say that I was using extortion, and they literally said they were going to have me disbarred. I was a kid. I was terrified. But I figured that I was right. I pulled my papers together. I went to the clerk's office. I did file the paternity action with a lump in my stomach. And almost immediately, the next day, I get a call from the court telling me to show up in the judge's chambers. And when I arrived at the judge's chambers, those two high-profile lawyers were already sitting there next to the judge. There was a single chair in front of the judge's desk. I guess it was an electric chair, but it wasn't. It was just my chair. And I sat down. And the judge immediately said, without even any preliminaries, here's what's going to happen. That politician is going to pay those child support fees. He's going to pay them until the child is 18. And no one is ever going to talk about this case. And those papers you thought you filed in the clerk's office, they're right here. And I'm going to put them in my drawer, right down here in my desk. And if you ever have any problem collecting on that child support, you just come to me. So, I guess I won. I got the child support for the client, and I only got that because I tried to file a lawsuit where the low-income mom would be equal in stature to the highly paid, rich politician. But this all came at a price of protecting that politician, and that judge had given the politician special treatment so that none of this would ever come to light. And that was wrong. And I was complicit. That case taught me that to close the gap between what we preach and what we do, I needed to litigate in a way that not only protected my client, but also protected other victims, the integrity of the legal system, and our core legal values. So let me share 3 examples. First, the Hamilton County Drug Task Force. Their mission was to find and convict drug dealers, but an undercover drug agent working for Hamilton County used sex and drugs to turn Kathy Maget from a law-abiding nurse into a drug courier. Kathy was wrongly convicted of felonies and then committed suicide in the Hamilton County Jail. Kathy's mom did not want anyone to face these tactics in the future, so her civil rights settlement included a consent decree prohibiting the use of sex and the donation of drugs to targets in drug investigations. She called the government back to first principles. She insisted that we not break the law in the name of enforcing the law. Second, the Cincinnati police. Sweeps of black folks had become common in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Allegedly, this was a way to fight crime. Lawsuits claiming racial profiling mounted up. Eventually, led by the Cincinnati Black United Front, we consolidated all of the cases and worked with the city, the Fraternal Order of Police, and other stakeholders to enter into a collaborative agreement that promoted safety not only through arrests, but through a commitment to equal protection and multidisciplinary problem solving. We had a tough 6-year period of court supervision, but now, 25 years later, we're still following the collaborative agreement in Cincinnati. The Black United Front remains engaged. Crime has gone down, arrests are down, and policing is more fair. Third, gay rights. In 1993, Cincinnati passed Article 12, a charter amendment that denied gays any protection from discrimination in Cincinnati. Article 12 also denied gays the right to seek any law protecting gays from discrimination. We were the only city in America that had such an outrageous law. I sued, and that had to violate, the ideals that I mentioned earlier, right? I mean, equal protection, due process, First Amendment right of association. I won at the district court level, but ultimately lost in the United States Supreme Court. The charter amendment survived. Litigation failed to solve that problem. But a new ballot measure was drafted, and an ambitious campaign by my clients taught the voters the importance of including all voices in our civic laws and dialogue, and Article 12 was repealed by vote. The resolution of these cases closed the say-do gap somewhat in Cincinnati. And notice that the clients were very engaged in each of these cases. In my practice, the client is encouraged to attend every deposition. Also, our retainer agreement captures the client's reform goals in addition to money damages, and discourages confidentiality in settlements. I mean, how can we go through all the trouble of extensive discovery and expose all the abuses and wrongs during that discovery and then cover them all up with a secret settlement? We lawyers, there will always be pressure to blame public problems on blacks, gays, transgender folks, immigrants, Muslims, or other individuals and groups who are the disfavored minority at the time. There will be other pressure to protect property at the expense of human rights. We lawyers are called to represent our clients while we uphold the rule of law. If you are barred in Ohio, you will be licensed as an attorney, but also as a counselor at law. The job involves more than doing what the client wants. It requires guiding, educating, and instructing the client on what opportunities and legal guardrails apply to the problems at hand, and hopefully securing reforms if the problem causing the injury is still present. When I applied to law school, I naively thought that the civil rights advocates were the good guys and everybody else was a bad guy. Well, I came to learn that we need and have people of integrity on all sides of our issues. I could not have secured the reforms in the drug unit or the collaborative agreement without opposing counsel and law enforcement professionals willing to resolve these cases with reforms based on shared core values. Article 12 would still be part of the Cincinnati Charter if it was not for many business, religious, social service, civil rights advocates, and lawyers who taught this city what equal protection under the law really means. And then one day, I met John Arthur and Jim Obergefell. John was dying of ALS. They had been a couple for more than 20 years and had just rushed to Maryland in July of 2013 in a medical jet to be married on the tarmac so they could formalize their union before John died. They were truly joyful. They were even giddy after their wedding. But I was the one who explained to them that their same-sex marriage would not be recognized in Ohio because the Ohio Constitution had an express ban on same-sex marriages. So, John's death certificate, which was going to come soon, would not say he was married, it would list him as single. And that death certificate had a spot for the surviving spouse, and that would be blank where Jim Obergefell's name should be. The couple, even though they were giddy about getting married, were outraged at how Ohio would treat their marriage. So we sued, again, relying on the core values, including equal protection and due process. The state attorney general defended the same-sex marriage ban in court. The city of Cincinnati was also a defendant because it's actually the city in its vital records department that issues death certificates. When called on to present the city argument, the assistant city solicitor stood up, but he refused to defend the gay marriage ban. He declared that the city of Cincinnati agreed with Jim and John and argued that the ban should be declared unconstitutional. Think about that. The defense counsel stood up and said, "We agree with the plaintiffs." I mean, that was awesome, and that was a very, very special moment. No say-do gap there. You know, when you reach my stage in your career, 50 years, it is likely that you will be done paying off your student loans. I mean, that's reassuring, right? Also at this stage, I'm passing the problem of the say-do gap on to you. Today, the current administration's policies opposing DEI, opposing reproductive freedom, denying the very concept of transgender identity, retaliating against law firms that represent political opponents, aggressively enforcing immigration laws without respecting due process, and violating the rights of peaceful protesters create plenty of opportunities for lawyers to examine how you will address the say-do gap. Some of you will be put in difficult positions. I'm now living in Minnesota. Earlier this year, we had more than 3,000 ICE and Border Patrol agents deployed to our state. Many lawyers have joined me pro bono in filing Federal Tort Claims Act cases to address issues of excessive force, false arrest, and other lawyers have stepped up pro bono to file habeas corpus petitions to stop the illegal detention of immigrants. One lawyer I knew from a big firm had been doing pro bono work for the last 10 years with the permission of her firm. But when she started representing immigrants, they told her she could not do it anymore. Why? Because it was politically unpopular. That lawyer chose to quit. That took guts. Other lawyers have also quit rather than bend their principles or violate the Code of Professional Conduct. This includes lawyers in the U.S. Attorney's Office and in executive agencies. That may be the only way to defend the rule of law in some situations. But short of that, you can speak up for justice and equality within your law firm or workplace with clients that are developing positions, policies, and practices. You can run for office. You can be a thought leader in your community, your church, and in your extended family. You can be a civic educator, writing op-eds and speaking out to help people learn or remember our first principles. I mean, that's not a bad goal for the 250th anniversary of a nation built on the rule of law. Members of your class have already stepped up when needed to do research done in support of some of these pro bono civil rights projects. And for that, I thank you. Others I see today are wearing stoles that celebrate free expression, and that's a good thing too. The Klekamp College of Law is the 4th oldest law school in the country. As you well know, and has been mentioned already, Chief Justice and President William Howard Taft himself served as dean. And with the announcement of the amazing Klekamp family gift, you know this school will be here as an anchor throughout your legal careers. You are an amazing class. 116 JD students, 17 LLMs, 19 MLS students from all over the world. you have the tools you need to vigorously represent your clients while upholding the rule of law, not just in financial matters and property law, but also in matters involving human rights and freedom. You're too good, too learned, and too principled to put your head down and practice law without raising questions. When you observe conduct that will stretch that say-do gap, lift your head up, face all the challenges, including the ethical challenges, and practice with your eyes wide open. Don't do your paternity case the way I did. Don't let the bully lawyers prevail. Don't let the complicit judge avoid accountability. Don't let the rich politician buy his way out of trouble, all secretly. Figure out a way to make your personal say-do gap be as small as possible. Do this, and your kids will be proud to tell your story. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate your sharing your truly valuable perspective from such a rich career. Now is the moment that you've all been waiting for. The candidates will receive the purple velvet hood, which is the emblem of the Master of Legal Studies degree, Masters of Law degree, and the Juris Doctor degree. We're going to announce the MLS candidates first, followed by the LLM candidates, and then finally the JD candidates. The candidates will be hooded by Professors Thoresen and Margolis. Please welcome Professor Lenhart, who will read the names of the candidates, and Dean Trejo will be on the floor shepherding the candidates and our guest hooders. Just a couple of things before we get started. Remember how before I was like, I'm going to read some names, and then nobody cheer, and then everybody did, which is fine. This time I am directing you. The provost charged all of you to be great. I am charging all of you in the audience, when your loved one has their name called, make as much noise as you would like. You should be doing that. It's a special moment. It's a special time for all of them. So. Thank you. This one's a bit more of a restriction. Every once in a while, someone gets it over their head to try to jump the barrier to take a picture. We've got Ivan over here. We got Joe over here. They've got cameras that are worth more than your net worth, tuition dollars, very hard at work. I promise you, the professionals with their fancy cameras will take a better photo than your iPhone if you try to jump the thing. Don't jump the thing. Just stay where you are, take whatever photo you can, and you can compare the photos later. I truly appreciate that. And with that, I will invite Professor Lenhart to the stage.
First, I will introduce the students who are receiving their MLS degrees. Please come on to the stage to receive your hood when I call your name. Alexandra Gimza. Stephen Kuntz. Christina Imam Love. She is being hooded by her mother, Constance Connie Hill, class of 1979. Carly Danielle Meyer, in absentia. Ariana Danae Reed. Pamela Spang Schultz. Tiana Tasha Tavares. Jonna L. Williams. Braxton A. Jaegerleiner. Next, I will introduce the students who are receiving their LLM degrees. Please come up to the stage to receive your hood when I call your name. Fernando Gabor Barragan. Daniela Castillo Cano. Sebastian Crane. Mariana Reventos Duarte. Daniel Ernesto Guevara Durango. Caterina Grico. Daphne Juarez. Alexander Kolarich. Erica Morocco. Irene Monti. Andrea McNulty. Elsa Marie Francoise Pandavoine. Samishkia Pant. Mia Perez. Lorita Yiseline Rojas. Mercedes Suarez in absentia. Marco Tronconi. Now we will continue with the students who are receiving their JD degrees. Again, please come to the stage to receive your hood when I call your name. Tristan Dean Adler. Abigail Afi Adu. Kofi Ejapong. Elias Jemshid Donald Adun. Marina Itzel Alvarez Garcia. Beatrice Eleanor Amberger. Avery Lynn Anderson. She is being hooded by her father, Kevin Anderson, class of 1993. Regina Angeletti. Lincoln Henry Armstrong. Avery Grace Ayai. Molly Grace Baker. Christopher J. Banfi in absentia. Aaron Kenneth Bell. Patanadin Benjantakul. Brett Cameron Blair. Madeline Glenn Blades. Evelyn Ruth Brower. Sydney Brown. Alexandra Lee Buchler. Sarah Kristen Buckley. Christian Nolan Buer. Kiera Marie Burns. Carrington Calder. Andrew Thomas Carmichael. Autumn Brooke Christopher. Perry Benjamin Collar. Lauren Elizabeth Cook. Zane Joseph Cox. Abigail Crabtree. Ryan Davis. Joseph DeGrini. Colin Edward Derrick. William Charles Donovan. Danielle Nicole Douglas in absentia. Lana Abdul Hafez El Etter. Hannah Elizabeth Engel. Darcy Elizabeth Overton Fahey. Isabella Grace Fantozzi. Thomas Joseph Fechelos. Katerina Mia Fernandez. Annabelle Marie Fisher. Anna Elizabeth Fort. Noor Mustafa Junaim. Hunter Gibson. Connor Michael Gleam. Madison Renee Gonzalez, being hooded by her father, Manuel Gonzalez, class of 2001. Erin Catherine Gray. William Gronefeld. Adam Joseph Gross. Azariah Hackworth. Michelle Lee Hampton. Jasmine Renee Harden. Megan Alexis Hassan. Reed Landon Howenstein. Talmadge Ian Hayes. Abigail Catherine Hobbs. Catherine Ann Helshaw. Håkan Helleman Holmquist. Maya Elizabeth Hoffman. Joseph Ingram. Martin Ishmael. David Yeager. Natalie Roberta Johnson. David Klasovsky. Vivienne Kosofer. Alexander Arthur Labreche. Louis Theodore Lanehart. Grace Elizabeth Lefton. Paula Sulema Lera. Clayton Randy Mockle. Ricky Magato. Olivia Donovan Martini. Meredith Bates Mast. Sydney Michaela Michael. Alexandria Michelson. Madeline Grace Miller. Kaylee Mobley. Olivia Sharon Montgomery. Chloe Virginia Nagel. Jennifer Neal. Edward Raymond Nelson. Nathan Charles Newell. Joelle Lorraine Newman. Yvette Lucia Rodriguez Nieves. Maggie Elizabeth Noble. Evan Plummer, being hooded by his partner, Camille Chandler, class of 2025. Morgan Danae Prince. Spencer Peyton Rabe. Joseph Porter Richards. Hannah Marie Riggle. Dominic Conrad Godoy Rocheville. Elizabeth Reed Saba, being hooded by her aunt Marie Saba Marksberry, class of 1986. Sogil Tashi Samduk. Gianna Skerma. Adriana Schmidt. Hannah May Schutz. She is being hooded by her father, Douglas James May, class of 1989. Casey Douglas Semple. Cassidy Elizabeth Serger. Francis Dean Small. Anthony Fred Smith. Kevin Sullivan. Joanna Fadi Sways. Benjamin Alec Terhune in absentia. Marie Gwendolyn Tabergti. Amilcar M. Torres. Sydney Lene Trudeau. Nina Josephine Vaccaro. Caroline Noelle Waller. Robert Leon Webb III. Tristan Weber. Jackson Thomas Wiest. Catherine Margaret Wolke. Emma Wozniak. Emily Grace Young. Madison Marie Zent. Daniel Zhu.
Thank you. Now it is my distinct honor and privilege as the Dean of the Donald P. Klekamp College of Law to introduce you to the graduates of the 2026 University of Cincinnati Donald P. Klekamp College of Law for the first time. And now, please welcome a member of the class of 2026, a student leader and an advocate, and the chair of the Student Legal Education Committee, Annabelle Fitcher, to offer some final remarks.
Good morning to my fellow new JDs, to our LLM and MLS students, and to all of those people who have cheered us on as we have earned those little letters behind our names. Since 1L year, I've had the privilege and delight of serving as a representative of the student body, bridging the gap between law students and our faculty and staff. Along with Maya Huffman, who you heard from earlier this morning, I also served as one of the co-chairs of the UC Law Student Government, a new two-branch system we implemented this year. I've worn many hats in my time at UC Law. This one might be my favorite. When Dean Trejo approached me about delivering this speech, he tasked me with leaving the audience inspired and motivated as they embark on the next chapter. But I think looking back is an important part of moving forward. So before we move on to our next chapter, allow me to flip back a few pages. I look out at my classmates today, and I see drive, confidence, passion, and dedication. I see people who will write judicial opinions that change lives, and people who will argue those pivotal cases. I see a community that lifts each other up and crosses the finish line hand in hand. I see future leaders in their firms, in Cincinnati, in Ohio, and beyond. And having grown up alongside all of you for the last 3 years, I also see the 1L in each of you. During orientation, Dean Hammoudi said that it was probably the last time until graduation that he would see all of us so dressed up. And I think he was right, so this really does feel like a blast from the past. And those 1Ls who were all dressed up for orientation faced the reality of legal education for the first time. Law school is hard, but we did it. Every person in this room made it through 3 years of rigorous study. And in August 2023, this day felt decades away, but we're here now having achieved exactly what we set out to do when we enrolled. And we curated quite the collection of experiences along the way. We survived Professor Bryant's computer-free constitutional law class. We learned personal jurisdiction, mostly. We formed unbreakable bonds in late-night study rooms, scribbling indecipherable flowcharts onto whiteboards. We figured out the best places on campus to steal a quick nap, and the best places off campus to grab a coffee. We joined intramural soccer. Well, some of us watched intramural soccer. We traveled together to new parts of the world. We laughed at Professor Thorson's pop culture references. We met up at SBA parties every semester. We learned the delicate art of networking. We published law review articles, won moot court competitions, and brought home trial team trophies. We staked a claim on our regular study spots. We balanced budgets, planned events, and managed the members of our student organizations. We helped small business owners, domestic violence survivors, name change applicants, and the wrongfully convicted with our clinical work. We protested and organized. We waited in lines at the deli for the perfect lunch between classes. We made lifelong friends, and some of us even met life partners. Over the last 3 years, we made UC Law a home away from home. And in case you've forgotten how much you've grown, humor me for just a moment. Close your eyes and think back to the way your stomach dropped the first time a professor cold called you in room 160, or the fear you felt when you learned what outlining is. Remember how it felt to fumble through writing your first objective memo in Lawyering 1, or trying to figure out what CREAC could possibly mean. The mountains we climbed then feel like molehills now. Those 1Ls who were just trying to figure it all out became 3Ls, mentoring the next generation of incoming law students. That's the life cycle of a law school. It feels like we just got here. I blinked during orientation, and now I'm standing here addressing all of you at our hooding. And even though you've grown so much in the last 3 years, when you're a partner of counsel or a senior judge, you'll feel even further away from the person you are today than you do now from that 1L. So that's how we got here from orientation. How do we go from commencement to whatever's next? That, friends, is where I leave you. Even though this ceremony marks the close of our legal education, the root of the word commencement is commence, verb, to enter upon, begin. And I don't think I need to define the closing speech. It's the end of the ceremony, the last thing between you and the door. So I meet you here at the end of the beginning of our legal careers, ready to step into this rainy May day and journey on to the next phase of our lives. Law school has been a transformational experience. You came in as a caterpillar and you'll leave a butterfly. And it happened so gradually that you probably didn't notice, but I bet you think differently too. That's powerful. And it's a cliche because there's truth to it. With great power comes great responsibility. You have the power within you to do amazing things, and your legal education has gifted you with a brand new set of tools to build something important, just like lawyers and law school graduates have throughout history. Lawyers like Alexander Hamilton and Abraham Lincoln played formative roles in the story of our nation. Lawyers like Thurgood Marshall, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and our brilliant commencement speaker, Mr. Gerhardstein, advanced civil rights. And a legion of lawyers whose names we'll never know have made a world of difference in the lives of the individuals they've served. In a 1947 essay in the Morehouse College student newspaper, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote, "Intelligence plus character, that is the true goal of education." Your law degree is about more than just your intelligence. If you leave without giving back, then your degree really is just letters after your name and nothing more. So if I can make one final ask of my fellow graduates, it's that you take these years of law school and all the lessons they've given you and do something to make the world a better place. If the world is too intimidating, start with your community. If your community is too daunting, start with your neighbor. I'd like to end these remarks with one final congratulations to the class of 2026. Congratulations to the graduates who sit before us here today and to the 1Ls you were 3 years ago. Savor this moment and celebrate with the people who got you this far. You have your whole life and career ahead of you. Use them wisely. Thank you.
Annabelle, I deeply appreciate your leadership and your remarks, and you're holding me accountable when it's time, and you're supporting me when it was time to do that. You did forget one quote. I said that it was at that orientation, which I remember very well. You were all terrified. I was terrified. It was my first orientation. And I did say that it was the best time I was going to see you the best dressed, and let's take a selfie. So I think we should do one final selfie with your class. And Annabelle, Maya, get back here. We're doing a selfie. That'll be on Insta in a few minutes, so make sure you download it from there. And you may be asking, well, wait a minute, I don't understand. How come you got to do a selfie with the whole class and you told us not to use the iPhone? There's a very simple reason for that. I am the dean, and you are not. And with that, I am going to conclude the hooding ceremony of the 193rd class of the University of Cincinnati Donald P. Klekamp College of Law. We stand adjourned. All rise, please, as the platform party recesses, followed by our graduates. Guests may greet their graduates outside of the arena. Thank you.